people, welcome to the Your Time Show. Today I am hosting with Isaac Sechiti and two other guests. That is...
What's up, young people? My name is Timo Balak Jones. I'm an athlete, photographer, and I serve with Gaba Community Church.
Hey young people, what's up? This is Rachel, a student at the university in third year. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and let's do this.
Well, hi Isaac.
Hello, how are you doing, Mercy?
I am good. I feel like tonight you're so smart.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're matching with everything.
Thank you, I'm honored, Mercy.
And in the house I have Timo. Hi Timo.
Hi, Mercy.
How are you doing?
Good.
Tell something to the audience.
It's a privilege hosting, you guys hosting me here on the show, and I can't wait.
Oh, that's good. And that there is Rachel. Hi Rachel.
Hi Mercy.
How is the day going?
The day is so fine.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You look fabulous.
Thank you.
Well, the topic today is a sensitive one, and we would like you guys to stick around so that you pick a message at least. Well, addiction. What do you think about addiction, Isaac?
I think I would define addiction to mean a psychological or physical inability to stop consuming a particular drug. It can also be the inability to stop doing a particular activity, even when someone knows that actually this is dangerous to my life, but there is that compulsion that they cannot stop. So basically, that's personally how I understand addiction to be.
Yeah. And you're right. Well, a friend of mine, one time we were talking about the addiction part, and she described it as something that you cannot do without, you cannot go throughout the day without doing.
Yeah.
And at some point, it does not add anything to you. Right. Am I right? Is she right?
Yeah.
Yes, you actually
Yes,
sure.
you
Yeah.
are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Isaac.
All right. So, like you said, Mercy, this is a very, very sensitive topic, and I would like to encourage everyone who is watching that please take some time, listen to whatever these guys have to share because it's very, very deep. And I would like to congratulate you guys. Thank you for coming out to share your experience with this. And I just would like to thank you. Thank you for just being bold and coming out. All right? So today on the show, Timo, I would love to start with you. Would you mind sharing with us your experience on what addictions are?
So basically, let me share a small story about myself.
Yeah.
Because I've once been an addict. First, I was a drug addict and an alcohol addict.
All right.
So, to me, addiction comes in when you're depressed. I was depressed.
Yes.
During my time, I grew up being isolated. I didn't have people to talk to, to play with. All the
Yes.
people I grew up with were a bit older than me. So the only way I would feel comfortable with myself and my life, I would always run to smoking weed,
Okay.
taking alcohol. But why do I say this? Because out there, when I was young, the people I used to hang around with, you would take weed
Yeah.
and alcohol, but they were a bit older than me. So we never had that jazz with them. Like me and them, the age range was
Difference,
different.
Slightly more of a peer pressure thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the way I would fit in the society or with them,
Mm-hmm.
I had to at least prove to them I can do what they do. So that's how I started taking weed and alcohol.
All right.
For how long?
I started doing that 2010.
2010.
Yeah, and I stopped it 2015. So basically 5 years.
5 years. Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep. Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
Well, Richard, would you like to give us an experience that you got with addiction?
Yeah, well, I was addicted to someone.
Someone
Yeah.
like a person, a human
A
being.
person I loved once.
Oh,
Yeah, so it was first year. I last had my boyfriend in Form 5. So this was the next guy I had. I was excited and lonely. So yeah, we started dating with this guy. I would not take a day without checking on him.
Okay.
I'd call 20 times a day
Yeah,
just to make
obsessed.
sure
Wow.
to ask him if he's breathing, if he's fine. So yeah, I would do anything for him. I would kill for him. Yeah, I was so addicted
Wow.
to him. I liked him that he was draining me and I was not getting anything in return.
Yeah, like my friend said,
Yeah.
the addiction drains you, but you do not really benefit from
Yeah.
it.
So I ignored my friends for him. I changed my whole life for him. Yeah. I would do whatever he asked me to do. So that's it.
Wow, I actually, Rachel, you know, it's very, very. I don't know. I'm shocked that what we hear in some of these secular songs,
Yeah.
like it actually can be true. Like there's, you know, those songs. I am addicted to you, like
So you
those
really
things.
listen to these songs?
I do, like, okay, that particular song was referring to like someone being addicted to someone
Yeah, you're
else.
right.
But then I didn't know that it was actually real, that actually someone, but anyway.
be.
So today, I don't know, like I said, if you are watching us, we all should know that people are addicted to different kinds of things. Some people are addicted to drugs. Some people are addicted to sex. Some people are addicted to pornography. Some people are addicted to shopping. It can be a behavior. It can be whatever it is, but there is that inability to stop doing it. However, Timo, would you share with us what your turning point was in during the time when you were addicted to drugs?
My turning point.
Yes.
Away from drugs or towards drugs?
Away from. So how did you get to leave the drugs?
Well, addiction is not a simple thing that you can just one day turn away from.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
That is true.
The day I decided to leave it,
Yes.
was there was a house party. But before we go to that, my grandma would tell me, please stop taking this. Please stop taking weed because you're going to ruin your life.
Yes.
But since I was an addict to it, without taking it a day, I would not feel like it's me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't even be me. I wouldn't feel so confident. I wouldn't do anything properly. Then I would be like, she doesn't want me to have life,
Yeah.
pleasures, or like to enjoy life.
You thought
She was against me.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know that mentality that kids have when the parent tries to tell you something, you're like, she doesn't want anything good for
Someone
me.
is against me, like what?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the day that I realized that my grandma was really right is the day we had a house party with those friends that I had met.
Yes.
We took a lot of things. There was too much during that time on that party. There was having sex, weed, shisha. So I took a lot of alcohol, like a big bottle of Bond 7.
Yes.
So during the course, I blacked out. So when I blacked out, some friends of mine took pictures of me. And when they took pictures of me in the morning, early morning when I woke up, my head was really bursting.
Oh.
Like I was almost collapsing because
Okay.
of the headache, hangover. When they showed me the pictures, I'm really sorry. When I remember everything, it really hurts me. I was hijacked. Like they took too many things from me, money, my phone. And then what really hurt me most was a friend of mine started pissing at me. The person I thought was my friend
Yeah.
did something I couldn't believe he could do. So when I saw all that, I realized I'm hanging out with wrong people. So that is the day I told Grandma, you know what? I'm going to try my level best to not become an addict. So I thought I was becoming, but then she told me, sweetheart,
You are
you're
already an addict.
So I told her I would try my best. So that was my turning point.
Yeah.
And ever since then, here I am.
Thanks be to God.
Amen.
Okay, Rachel, I know that at some point you realized that this person that you're addicted to what you were feeling for him was not right. Okay, maybe what you're feeling for him was right, but what you were doing, the addiction part of it, was not right, and you wanted to come out of it, right? So, did society at one time help you, or it was the other way around? They did mind about it, they didn't take it as an addiction, or they just saw you that the fact that you're a girl? Because trust me, most of the people in society concentrate on boys because boys are really get addicted a lot because of that loneliness part of it. But you as a girl, did society try to help you?
Yeah, well, they did not, because they probably had given up on me. They would come and tell me, your boyfriend is cheating, he's using you, he's taking your money.
Okay.
And then I would go back to him and tell him, these guys are saying this.
What?
So yeah, they gave up on me and no one would help me. So I would go and tell people, I am tired of this guy and I'm breaking up with him. They would just look at me.
It wasn't.
Yeah, and they would
Thank
keep
you.
quiet. So they will not come and help me because they just did not want to get involved in our issues.
Wow.
So yeah, so no one helped me. I had to deal with this on my own.
Did you talk to your sisters?
I tried talking to my sisters, but it was all the same. She was also used to me. So yeah.
Because every time you told them you're breaking up, the next thing they get to hear is you're back together.
Yeah, my sister would go and talk to him, tell him, leave my sister alone. Then again, the next day she would find me with him. So
Oh
yeah,
my
she
God.
gave up on me.
All right, now, Rachel, for someone who is watching, because I understand these are things that happen to real society. Someone is actually out there probably watching us right now, and they are wondering, I am struggling with this thing. I actually cannot get over this person.
Yeah.
I am so much madly, we call it being mad, is it madly
Madly
in
in
love?
love.
Madly in love with this person, that it has exceeded the love point and it has now become an addiction.
Yeah.
Now, for someone who is going through that scenario and that situation, Rachel, tell us some of the things you as a person did that you would encourage that person to do so that they may get out of this.
Yeah, me as a person, I tried ignoring that person so hard. However hard it is, because we are in the same class,
Yeah.
same hostel,
You what?
same business.
Oh.
Like, yeah, I cannot keep far away from him.
Yes.
But I blocked him on every social media platform that I have. I tried avoiding him.
Yes.
Whenever he used to call, I did not pick up. I just decided I have to ignore this person. Even when they come up with this conversation,
Yeah.
you know, Rachel, I miss you. I just changed topic because I know I'm a weak person. He
Yeah.
was my weak spot.
Yeah.
I'll just do whatever he wanted me to do. But if you are out there, you can really get over someone. You just have to ignore them. You have to move on, learn to move on. We all make sacrifices
That's
in
true.
life.
That's true, Rachel. That's right.
So I just decided for my future happiness, I had to leave this person.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's great.
Okay. Timo, thank you very much, Rachel. That is really, really, really very, very deep. Timo, what do you think causes young people to not to hear? Because I understand, like you shared in your story about your grandmother telling you that, you know what, Timo, this is bad. This is bad. Do not do it. But again, you didn't know actually that you were addicted. So what is that force that always compelled you to just disobey? Is it a spirit?
I would say it is. I would say it's a spirit, but the major thing is the
Yeah.
peer pressure. Because whenever she would tell me, please don't do this, I would go to my friends and like, man, my grandma was telling
He's
me I
doing,
shouldn't
yeah.
quit this, and the guys would be like, she doesn't want you to be happy.
Yeah.
But what I know that compels people not to continue doing addicts is peer pressure. When you have friends who do drugs, definitely you will do drugs because you always want to fit in their society. Secondly, ignorance. If you don't know what you're going into, if you don't know what drugs can really do to you,
Yes.
you go for it.
Yeah.
But if you at least have a small glimpse of what drugs can really do, not all drugs are bad, but the way we use them is how they make us dangerous
That's
and
true.
how they harm us.
That is right.
So it's drugs, like peer pressure and ignorance is
Okay.
what compels people to always fall in addiction.
All right. So, Timo, also briefly tell us, do you sometimes ever feel like you want to go back to where you came from?
As for now, I no longer want, but before then, when I was on the healing process,
Yes.
I always
Wanted to go back.
wanted to go back. Like when I be there and I miss like something, I feel like I want to put something in my body because my body was used to those drugs. I would try my best not to do it, but the only way I would not do it is make myself busy. I would
Okay.
always try to do something, maybe have friends who are not into drug stuff.
Yes.
Just always to keep my mind busy, not to think about drugs.
That is right. For you, it is keeping away. For Rachel, is block this person. So, I
Yeah.
don't know for
You find you just have to find all alternative ways
to avoid.
to avoid.
Yeah.
That's something that would lead you. Like you always do something that would not put you into temptation.
Okay.
So if it is leaving it, like the way Rachel said, she blocked and ignored him. Now me, I be near you
Yeah.
because I know myself.
Because they. Oh,
Your
all right.
weakness.
My
That is
weakness.
your weakness.
Yes. So I would always avoid people who take drugs.
Okay. Yeah. That was fine. That was good because in most cases we have to change the people we are with, the people we move with, the places we go to, very many things. So I'm so curious, Rachel. You said you were addicted to someone.
Yes, please.
But at some point, you realized that this was not something good for you,
yeah.
and you got yourself out of it.
Yes.
So how did you deal with it? Like, how did you go through it during the healing process? How did you go through it? Because I know it's hurting. It's hurting to let go of some things. It was hurting for you to leave that stage of you not doing drugs anymore,
Yeah.
so that you start living the normal life without drugs, because drugs was kind of your confidence, right?
Would always boost
Yeah.
people.
And for you, Rachel, this guy was like your whole life. How did you go through it? Like, how was your healing process? Did you break?
It was very long. It was a hard process. I was very dramatic about it. Yeah, sometime I had to check his phone and found out he was making out with an older woman.
You checked
like
his phone.
5 years above, yeah. So I had to text her, I had to threaten her. I was so dramatic, it's even... But then again,
When you look behind it, stupid.
yeah, I cried. I almost wanted to take my life. I told my baby brother I was tired of life and I could not talk to my mom. I stopped talking to everyone, basically, my friends. I blocked his friends. I hated everyone. I hated campus. I didn't want to go back to class. I took some time without going back to class. I did not do some tests.
It was
Wow.
a
It
tough
was
time.
so much. I cried. I tried telling people, tell him I'm going to kill myself. Call him and tell him I'm crying. I'm
And-
going to call his mom and tell him he broke my heart. I was so dramatic.
And you know,
But-
that is a very common thing, I think, with us girls. We get too much attached to the partners that we are with, and we feel like our whole life is around them and we
Yeah.
can't do without them. But again, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's something greater than what you think is great in your eyes. You know, God has plans for us. And anyways, like the Bible says in Galatians chapter 5 verse 1, it says, freedom is what we have and Christ has set us free. Live then as free people and do not become slaves to your past anymore. So these people chose to be free from their bondages or free from their addictions. And you out there, whatever you're facing, whatever it is, you might be addicted to something else that we're not talking about, maybe pornography, maybe sexuality. And I know you can go through this. It is just you to decide to take a step forward. Yeah, we are going to be coming back with a counselor for this session, for the next session, and we would like you to stick around.
It is said that prayer is caught and never taught. People who tarry longer in the presence of God are the people that have learned the secret of prayer. Such an atmosphere is provided for here at Gaba Community Church every Friday, and this is your moment. It's such an atmosphere that you need. God bless you.
Welcome back from that short break, and like I said, we're going to be joined by a counselor. Here we have Mr. Lukwago Ambrose, and for those who are just joining us, this is the Year Time Show, and we are talking about addiction. Mr. Lukwago, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm well, and I feel privileged to be part of this program.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I really wanted to ask you a question. My first question that I really wanted to ask you is, what are the major causes of addiction?
Well, it's not a very simple and cheap question. Thank you. Addictions, we could look at them in two ways. They come through the internal issues the youths go through or people go through,
Okay.
and they can also come from the external issues. Usually internal issues, things like abuse, things like lack of esteem, pain, anger, anxiety. So when those are going on in someone's life, internally there, they usually want to do something to either suppress them or keep them out of their lives. So they end up being addicted to whatever they thought would work.
Okay.
And then external factors are things like the exposures. It could be the culture. Someone is grown in a family where they are taking maybe alcohol or using or abusing any other drug. So they are caught in that. They know it's the normal. Others, it's things like advertisement, things they are put on the media there. They end up being appetized, you know, as they advertise, be strong, you are the champion, you are all this. So people, especially young people, find that interesting. They would want to just connect with a big person or so influence from their friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Rachel, you've been with us. Welcome back from the short break.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you, addiction happens in phases. Like, you do not like bump into the addiction like right away. It happens in phases. So there are some things that you think you should have avoided for you to not to get into this addiction.
Yeah, I think I would have avoided maybe giving this person a chance in the first place, because I would have not given him a chance. Calling him, texting him, and making him my only friend. Because at the time, I thought he was my only friend I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Timo,
Yo,
welcome back.
thank you.
So there's another question for you. What are some of the changes or benefits that you've gotten after coming out of the addiction? What are some of the benefits you've got?
Okay, that's a good question. First, break of addiction circle. Like when you're in addiction, they specify you in a circle. Like some of them say that you may not get out of that circle, but I broke through it, and
that's
I'm
a
out
good
of it.
thing,
Yes.
yes.
So the second thing is I learned about addiction. You know, like during the process, I now know what addiction is, what it can do to someone.
Yeah.
And now, at least with my knowledge and experience, I can help someone who's in
Out there,
addiction.
yeah.
Yeah, and another thing, I built new habits
Good.
and practices. Like, I do photography. It helps me to practice. Like, I read and I try to make myself busy. So those are kind of, and other more like workouts, because I play football sometimes.
Great.
So it helps me. Those are the habits and practices I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very good. I really want to focus on the counselor today, and because this is an educational show to all of us, you know, that we Timo, would you love to ask anything before I ask?
It's good to have you here, Mr. Counselor.
Thank you.
My question is, the the young youths there suffering addiction, and some of them don't have the guts and courage to approach someone because they fear being judged.
Yeah.
So, how would you advise anyone hearing out there as the youth, yeah, who's under addiction, to come openly and share their woes about addiction to someone?
Thank you once again. I would start by saying the first point starts with this person identifying themselves, that they are in an issue and they need help. So it starts at that point for them to know that I need help. Someone needs to help me. And then I also want to add that beyond what people will say, this is your life and it's a matter of life. You know, one would add death, but it's a matter of life. So if you choose your life as an important thing you have or God has given you, then it's worth fighting for. It's worth giving your all for it. So the starting point for one who is fearful, use the platforms available. For example, this one. Tune in and listen in to programs that are talking about recovery, or programs that are talking about how do you overcome. So when you tune in there, no one will ask your name, no one will ask what's going on, but you'll be able to follow through and see how you can receive support. But majorly, I want to say, when you come out and you want to say, I want to get out of this, that coming out in itself is a tool to overcome addiction. So I want to say, let there be some boldness. Don't be fearful. When you come out, that's a step already taken to overcome. So come out. Someone will help. And I know, yes, some people may judge because of their background or because of what they know or what they don't know. But for you, who is there struggling, I want to say it's very important to come out and seek help. Pick courage. Find out someone who you can at least associate with. It could be a peer who will lead you to someone who will give you important support.
When you mentioned something like you have to first find out that I have a problem, and then you'll start seeking for help, right? So I understand that addiction starts with habits. It starts as a habit, then you upgrade, you know. But how can someone know that now this is an addiction? It's no longer a habit. Because taking an example of the alcohol, I think you took alcohol your first time, but not to hurt yourself, right? But when it became more and more dangerous is when you got to know that now this is an addiction. I can't live with alcohol anymore. And like he said, you just looked for someone to fill up that space. You were lonely. You didn't realize that at some point this person would be my addiction. So how, Mr. Counselor, how can one really know that now this is my addiction and I really have to work on it?
There's a number of things you can look at or that can point to an addiction. When you discover that you've been habitually or you've been taken up by a habit, and this is something you're doing continuously, and you are losing control of yourself regardless of the consequences, then you start to think, where is it going to lead? Usually, when someone is involved in a behavior that is going to be an addiction, they spend most of their time. They are taken up, they are thinking, they are planning. All things tend to revolve about and with that activity. Again, and when that is happening, it's as though they don't have any other things to do. They do that at the cost or at the expense of the other important things. So, for example, if one has to, they're addicted maybe to movies.
You have
They
to
would know,
read,
they would know
instead.
they have to go and read or they have to go and work. But they will say, let me see a
You're
bit.
hooked into
So
the
they will stay a bit, look at it, and actually also plan, what time will I come back to see again? And then they are forgetting that if they are workers, probably they will be they'll be sacked or they'll be penalized for not. If they are students, they'll forget all about the grades and all that. So their time is put into it. And they usually, when you start to sense a sense of lack of control, like you feel it's beyond you, you can no longer stop. When you want to stop, you actually don't stop. You find yourself, helpless in that context. Then you know you are heading into an addiction.
Yeah, and you have to seek for help.
Definitely.
Yeah. So on that point, Rachel, you have been in this before, and I'm sorry, but I have to ask this. So at some point, you have seen yourself, you went through this and you wanted help, but you couldn't get it from anyone, your friends or anything, like you mentioned. But did you ever consider church? Did you ever consider coming to church for help or anything like that? Or you just...
I actually did not think about the church because I didn't want to be judged or criticized by anyone.
But you would have looked for another church, like you would have got another counselor from another church.
I did not think that came across my mind. I did not want anyone to know.
To know about it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And like I said, today I really want to focus on the counselor today. So I have one more question for you, Mr. Ambrose. Do addictions heal? Do they heal completely? Because what other possibilities for us to heal from the addictions? Because
Yes.
it's really hard, getting out of that stage. You kind of look back and maybe, for example, I'm sorry to use the example a lot, you were using drugs and at some point you said that this was like my confidence. So if you are now healing from this and you feel now the fact that you've stopped doing the drugs and you have to face the world as your own, not with the influence of drugs, and at some point you want to go back, do addictions really heal? Because, for example, she was addicted to someone, and at some point in life, she will get another person, right? So what about